Hello guys! Welcome back to a brand new review. I'm Eli Copperman and today I'm reviewing the new film from Laika Inc., Kubo and the Two Strings. Now let me start off by saying that I love Laika. Coraline I thought was just amazing, Paranorman was so deep and heartwarming, and the box trolls, while it did have some flaws, was still really good and very heartwarming at the same time. I've always been impressed by the studio's risks of taking dark tones in their films, as well as making continuous stop-motion animated films even if their films don't earn that much money at the box office. But now we have a new movie from them, and this time it's directed by the son of the founder of the studio, Travis Knight. So, how did the movie favor out? Alright, first things first, let me sum up the plot from IMDb. Kubo lives a quiet, normal life in a small shoreside village until a spirit from the past turns his life upside down by reigniting an age-old vendetta. This causes all sorts of havoc as gods and monsters chase Kubo, who, in order to survive, must locate a magical suit of armor once worn by his late father, a legendary samurai by the name of Hanzo. Yep, another hero's quest right up the agenda. But admittedly, the story itself is actually pretty easy to follow. In fact, the quest that Kubo takes is actually quite engaging. Not only do we learn a lot about his past and his family, but we also learn more and more about the mystical elements regarding the magical elements of the movie. It's actually interesting that this movie does foreshadowing, since at the beginning the main character, Kubo, tells a certain ancient tale to a lot of people, but the movie itself, aka the quest, is actually sort of a follow-up to that tale. This is what makes the movie both suspenseful and heartwarming. Given that this is a story that's all about the main character, and how he has to find something to help stop his grandfather, it actually makes the movie really intense, considering that this is really a family matter. This also makes the movie really epic. Not just in the visuals, which I'll get to later, but also because it's told so beautifully. All the fantasy elements make it very gorgeous, and it gives the movie an extra feel of heart. And the action also really helps shine through. The fact that Kubo has family members that have their own unique powers, whether it be to enchant people or to physically harm them, actually makes it really psychologically interesting, and the audience will always question, how is this gonna work? How do they do it? I'd love to know! Which is why I was also on the edge of my seat. But another thing this movie does so well is tell the message that just because something is written as a story, and even if it is told by someone who may die someday, that doesn't mean it won't be told anymore, as long as it's passed on. It helps too because we learn more and more about Kubo's loved ones, and because of that, the audience will always want to know the story. Like how it's told, how the characters became who they are, and why would they do such a horrible thing. I'm not going to spoil anything, but once you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. If I do have to give the writing one criticism, it would be that the humor that's added in ends up being rather hit or miss, and some of it feels rather trite. But that's more of a nitpick, which just shows how greatly written the story is. So with a greatly written story, that means the characters would be interesting, right? Hell yeah! To start things off, Kubo, aka the main storyteller, is a really interesting little boy. Considering that he goes on the quest of the story that he himself told, how he plays out as a kid depends on the situation he's in. Sometimes he's vulnerable to a situation and needs to be saved, or other times he might not take it too seriously until it really gets to him. But then there are times when he knows exactly what to do, and he goes all out to save the day. He really feels both like an actual kid and someone who's learning a lot about his own story. Not to mention his voice actor Art Parkinson did a really good job capturing his personality and voice. There's also Monkey, who used to be a charm but then came to life through the magic of Kubo's mother. She's the one who protects Kubo, and despite starting off as a little too serious, not only does she and Kubo get used to each other, they also begin to bond so well up to the point where they get rather personal, and that also helps bring out the heart of the movie. As for the guy who accompanies them on their journey, Beetle, he starts off a little too goofy and dumb. His memory of fighting alongside Kubo's father, but then getting punished and turning into a beetle himself, is rather interesting, and him trying to figure out what happened in his past actually gets more and more engaging, especially given that he's actually really good at his mark when it comes to fighting. As for two of the antagonists in the movie, the sisters of Kubo's mother, Not only do they play a major threat in the film, but they also give a really good contrast of their view of their family. Despite being rather calm and pretty gruesome at times, they themselves just work for their father, and no matter what goes in their way, they'll do whatever it takes, even if it means to kill one another. I'd talk about more characters, especially Kubo's grandfather himself, the Moon King, but that would actually lead into spoiler territory, and nobody really wants that. But I will say for now that the ideas of the movie play off with these characters very well, and once you see them, you will absolutely adore them. It even helps with their voice actors like Charlize Theron, Matthew McConaughey, Rooney Mara, and George Takei, and Ralph Fiennes. They just give great performances, especially to the right characters that they're assigned to. Since I like to save the best for last, let's talk about the real highlight of the movie, which are the visuals. To anyone who says stop motion is a dying art is clearly really stupid, because the animation in this movie, man, did Laika really push up their standards. Not only do the characters look very well detailed, very well caricaturized, and defining of their own personalities, but even for a stop motion film, they move so fluidly. Clearly Travis Knight really pushed the animators beyond their limits, because these characters in the movie do move like actual people at times, and they really feel alive. They feel so in the moment. They're just so well done in terms of their movements. There are some CG moments, but those are more for like additional little creatures, and some effects animation like water and fire, and they're not that bad. Speaking of the effects, this is where the movie gets really creative. Whether it be the magical elements from Kubo's family, to the giant creatures like a giant skeleton and eyes underwater, or if it's even a boat out of leaves. It's just so great how they're able to take these small things and execute them so well. Even the backgrounds have a lot of detail put into them, and they really make you want to go into that world just to see what it's like. Kinda like the Canadian Rockies. I swear, the animation to this movie made me feel like I was watching a Studio Ghibli film as opposed to a Laika film. Yes, it's that good. To really get into the visuals, to quote Kubo himself, if you must blink, do it now. With well-crafted animation, an epically told story, memorable characters, and a lot of great action, drama, and depth, Kubo and the Two Strings is overall a fantastic movie. I highly recommend this film to anyone who wants to see an animated movie during the summer, or any movie for that. It's beautiful, heartbreaking, but heartwarming at the same time, deep, epic, and most of all, beautiful. I'm not sure how those of Japanese descent will feel about it, but either way, I'm sure some of them will get a good kick out of it. Travis Knight, if you're watching this, thank you so much. You have earned my respect both as an animator and now as a director, and that's why I give your movie a 9 out of 10. Heck, this is one of my favorite animated movies of the year next to Zootopia and Sausage Party. Hopefully this movie will be a big hit this year even if it's not doing well at the box office, and until the next time I review an animated movie, see you guys later.